Well, Tyler.
Yes, Doug.
You wouldn't know this yet. Maybe you would. But I feel like I've proved a general principle, or maybe I just suck at it. But I feel like car guys should not buy cars for their wives or spouses or significant others.
I will say my significant other is looking for a car and she wants my help, which I'm happy to provide. But I've learned that there's certain things that I'm like, nah, it doesn't matter. This isn't for me.
You probably shouldn't. There's the internet.
Yeah.
She can learn anything she needs.
I've given some general, like, here's what I maybe would recommend from manufacturer, maybe reliability. I'll help you figure out, like, how the money works and all that. But get what you want.
Yeah. Well, I am 1 for 3 in terms of succeeding at buying a proper car for my wife since we've been married. And, listen, I do this for a living. I am a professional. I should be better at this. But there is a lesson. This is not just an anecdote. There are principles that we can learn, I think, from this. So when we got married, she had a Toyota Corolla. Great car. She loved it.
Very practical.
Very practical. Been in 2 accidents, ran like a top, other than the transmission, which she said was going out or slipping, which is why she called me, because she needed a car guy's opinion. I think that was just an excuse for me to take her to lunch.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was all
this guy's got game
from there. Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, I'm like, we need to get you a proper car. So I sold that and then didn't get her a car for 2 months. And I just let her drive a dealer car that had old bald tires on it, and she drove to Pennsylvania in a snowstorm, and she was ready to murder me. So can we say that
she was ready to unalive me.
She was ready to harm me. Anyway,
she was slightly upset, a little perturbed.
Right. Yes. Not in actuality. I'm okay.
Yeah,
we're
fine.
Yes, we have a great marriage. Anyway, we digress quite a bit here. So I was like, all right, I got to find her car. Now, I had done a bunch of research, and I had settled upon the W212 Mercedes chassis. I'm like, these are the greatest.
Nice.
Right?
Yes.
Good engine, good transmission, great interior, good features. So I followed all the rules, right? I went to south of the salt line. We even went to Virginia and looked at a car, and it had been all in salt. And I'm like, gosh darn it. So we went farther south. We went to North Carolina.
Okay.
Bought her a 2014, so it's not a first model year. It had the newer engine, yada, yada. And it was a 2-owner car. Good, right?
Good,
low owners.
yes.
It had 40-some thousand miles. It was a previous CPO, certified pre-owned. It had been dealer serviced. All the check boxes. It came with WeatherTech mats already.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
In the real ones, too, so they spent the money.
Yeah.
on it.
Service records, the whole
business.
deal.
Perfect
right?
car. And it's running great right now, right? It's perfect.
No, we sold it.
Okay.
So back this up. This was the second attempt, right? Mm-hmm. The first car I bought her, because I wanted to buy her a convertible, I gave her some input. I let her go online, and I went through 90s and 2000s convertibles because I wanted her to have a cool car that we could take to Radwood or whatever. And so I went through all the different convertibles and had her pick out the body style she liked. That was the extent of the choice that I let her have. I'm a real chivalrous guy, you will choose only this amount because it's my money. And she picked the BMW 3 Series. So I'm like, sweet. I'll get her an E36 M3.
Heck yeah.
Because I'm not going to get her an E46 because she wanted an automatic, and the E46 has the SMG. So I'm going to buy her a proper automatic that doesn't suck as badly as a fake manual automatic. And it was a disaster. Same thing. Southern car, good color combination. I bought it from an engineer who was very meticulous.
Yeah, that's another
supposedly.
thing.
And it just needed tires and it needed a top, which he had gotten a quote for $700 from the BMW dealer. So I bought it for $8,500.
That sounds cheap for a top, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
That was not an accurate quote.
I see.
So needless to say, after a lot of service, as much as she did enjoy the car, the head gasket went out.
Oh, okay.
The shop that serviced it was like, I think this oil is original in the car, as are the spark plugs. The dude never serviced it. Although he did, this is great. he did accidentally shoot his firearm off in the passenger seat in the parking lot at work. He did disclose that. There was like this little tiny hole repaired in the like trim piece that he was trying to put it in the glove box, and
it just went off.
Probably the same engineer that's working on Boeing airplanes, you know. Anyway, so head gaskets, like $3,500 to do all that stuff. I spent a bunch on tires. I tried to get the top adjusted. It still was like it would go halfway and then it wouldn't clear, so you had to adjust it. I'm like, no problem. I'll buy a Robbins top. I know all this stuff, where to get them. I'm in the car business. I can do this. Well, turns out with those 3 series, it's if you do the top, you also have to do the cables and like everything else related. Because if you just do the top, then of course, you know, it's not stretched properly and it'll break the cables and just. So it was like $4,500.
Whoa.
So essentially it totaled the car.
Oh.
So I tried to sell it, and I finally ended up selling it for like $7,500 to this guy who traded in a base 3 Series convertible that looked like he lived in it and he was a hoarder at the same time.
Oh no.
And he was like so excited. He thought our car was going to be super rusty because of how cheap it was. And he showed up, he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is really clean. I'm amazed." I was like, I felt so terribly. I'm like, I'm a professional car buyer and seller. I bought my wife a lemon. I think we were in at $15,000. I turned $15,000 into $7,000. And I sold it to a homeless guy who's going to use this. Like, when you look up his address, it's going to be, 328 BMW Lane.
But his
next door neighbor is going to be a houseboat.
Well, and this is about buying your spouse cars, but I would also like to say that you have so far hit so many positive checkboxes on what you want when you are buying a car. Oh my God, an engineer owned it. He must have maintained the crap out of this. Look at all these service records. It was from the below the salt line.
CPO.
It's always a risk.
Low owners, low mileage. It doesn't mean jack squat. We've covered that over and over on the podcast. Doesn't mean jack squat. So anyway, this E350 that I bought for her, low miles, great, right? Yeah, no. Had to replace the brakes almost immediately. And it had a hard downshift into 4th right from when we got it, which we have two other E350s actually, don't ask why. And neither of those have that issue. The dealer said they couldn't replicate it. And I'm like, drive the darn thing. Well, we can't exceed the speed limit. I'm like, go on the highway. So anyway, they couldn't replicate it, said it wasn't an issue, did a software update, and then it started doing this like chugging thing. And we sent it to like 3 or 4 different shops, did every single thing on the planet, all the forums. Everyone's basically like, that transmission is a 7G. It's completely indestructible. It's not the transmission. It's this, it's that. Do a fluid drain and fill, do a relearn, do a software update, do plugs and coils, do whatever. We did every single thing and couldn't solve it. It still just had this weird chugging.
Those parts are all over the car. Like, you literally took the part shotgun to it and just kind of...
Yeah, everything I tell people not to do, throw parts at it. We finally, we replaced the drive shaft because the U-joints connecting the drive shaft were in fact bad. So when it was put up on a lift, there was play in the drive shaft, but you can't just replace the U-joints. It comes all as a unit, thanks modern car manufacturers. So that was $2,100. Didn't fix the problem. Plus, those cars have soft rims. So I think 3 of them were bent currently, and the car was out of alignment, and it was going through tires like crazy. And I'm just like, forget this. I'm like, send it to auction. I'm done. I'm like, Aaron, you can pick your next car.
Has she picked her next car?
Working on that.
Okay.
So she has some very specific criteria. It has to have buttons for the climate control and radio. From a safety perspective, she can't stand that people are distracted when they're driving, lives in paranoia of being hit by somebody going left of center when they're on their phone or on their screen in their
bigger
car.
Phone.
Yeah, bigger phone. Yeah. Their Tesla iPad. Yes. And it has to have a 3rd row. air conditioned seats, although she would settle. I think she'd settle for air conditioned seats. She'd prefer cloth seats.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
She's a woman of taste.
She is. I should have let her pick all along. Who wants a Mercedes wagon when you could have a Toyota 4Runner? That's on her list. She wants the third row to help with kids carpooling to school, even though we don't currently carpool with anyone.
I would like to know if we... Producer Ethan has lost it.
We have 9 cars on our insurance policy. 2 of them are hers. Well, 1 currently. I have just decided I'm going to mail it in. If she wants a friggin' Ford Explorer, like it is a refrigerator. It is an appliance. She can buy whatever the flip she wants. I am maturing. This is her car.
You know, these are so many good lessons that I'm learning right now from Doug that I just don't need to bother with, because I so badly would like my significant other to be in a cool car. And I think she's going to end up in something that is pretty cool, but it's going to it's not going to be an enthusiast car, which is fine. Doesn't have to be.
She's going to love it.
Yeah, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I would be interested to see, Doug, if we took her requirements and like tried to fit what we as car guys would buy.
See, the problem is, and we'll do that in a future episode. The problem is, as a car guy, if you fail at buying a car for your spouse, you risk them losing respect.
Oh, can it?
Think about that. Seriously, though, that's a big problem. Like, I do this for a living. Well, you suck at it. You couldn't even get my car right. Am I more important to you than your clients? Yes. Well,
that's a good point. That's a good point, right there.
It's a dangerous line you're playing. It's like buying her jewelry or something. You let her pick it out.
Well,
you just write the check.
Well, and we've talked, like, my girlfriend at first didn't even like that I was a car guy. She specifically avoided me because I was a car guy. I can't give her a reason. She's finally warmed up to it.
Yeah. Yep. So she doesn't like any of my cars, pretty much all of them. And I'm totally fine with that because I'm like, well, they're my cars. So I don't have to like her car. And I'm okay with that.
That's fair.
So there we go. Don't buy your wife a car. And if you do, it doesn't matter where it comes from or how many owners or if it's previous CPO or anything like that. None of that matters. They could still be a lemon because
meaningless.
That's what I've been through. So there you go.
So what was the one car that worked? You said you were 1 for 3, right?
The other Mercedes E350, the convertible.
Nice.
It's been great. Yep.
Perfect.
No problems. That brings us to our props and flops of the week.
And as always, the props and flops are brought to you by Switchcars. Switchcars is the enthusiast dealership where we buy, sell, and consign only cars that we like ourselves. Check out our handpicked inventory at switchcars.com and mention Switchcast for special pricing. Find more information at switchcars.com or come visit our showroom in beautiful Twinsburg, Ohio.
Our pick of the week from Switchcars is a 2019 Porsche 911 GT3 RS with the desirable Vlasak package.
Ooh, is this the one with like all the green bits?
Yes,
the green insert
bits in the interior. Yes, very, very nice. It doesn't have the full Vlasak package, though. It doesn't have the Vlasak wheels. It has the base wheels because in 2018-19, those Vlasak wheels were on constraint, so you would get the Vlasak package with the base wheels. For most of them. So that's what this one has. But it's very aggressively priced at $240,000. It does not have 240,000 miles.
I might be able to afford it if it does.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Could be on its third engine at that mileage. We're not saying anything about Porsche's quality as of late. Just making a joke. Okay. So, prop of the week. Mazda. We're talking about shopping for wife's cars. Mazda is on the radar. I never thought it would be, but the Mazda CX-5, right, in the world of inflationary pricing and manufacturers raising their MSRPs far too late, kind of reactionary, Mazda has revealed specs and pricing for the 2025 CX-5 crossover, and it revives the 2.5S base model as a cheaper trim. They are lowering the base price of their entry-level crossover. You can get a CX-5 for under $30,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And from all accounts, Mazdas are like really good cars.
Oh, yeah. They would, if I needed an appliance that I enjoyed and was attractive and like whatever else, like a Mazda would be on the list. 100%.
Yes. And they don't have a CVT, and you can get them with cloth seats.
Oh, I love cloth seats.
Look at that. And Mazda is one of the few manufacturers that's still making manual transmission cars. So you can just get a car. Just a car.
Is that too much? It seems like that's almost too much to ask for in today's modern world. It's like, I just want a car.
It's like going to Dunkin' Donuts and saying, I would like a coffee.
Oh, yeah, it's impossible.
They don't know what that means anymore.
If you don't speak their language on how to order a coffee,
right.
Screw it.
Right. The flop of the week comes to us from Frank Komar at King's Auto Service. This was a great one. He had a Volkswagen Beetle in for service, one of the newer ones, not a 60s one. The customer complained about an odd smell coming out of the car, and it turns out that mice had made nests in the resonator and the muffler, filling it with bird seed.
Oh.
Yes. So when they started the car up, apparently she never noticed this because she never applied full throttle. But when they put the foot to the floor, the bird seed shot out of the exhaust.
That is amazing.
Yes. And allegedly they filled like a couple 5-gallon pails full of this stuff. There was so much in the exhaust system. Which
must be some massive mufflers.
I don't know. That's a lot of back pressure. Engine was probably not making much power.
Well, then it makes me wonder in a vehicle like that how she's not needing to apply full throttle. They can't be that fast. So like just easing it into everything. Otherwise, you got like a go-go gadget birdseed or something when you smash on the throttle.
You haven't been stuck behind these people on 2-lane roads on the way to work recently, have you?
I guess not. I forget what it's like.
They exist. Thank you for joining us for Switchcast with Doug Tabbitt and Tyler Sanders, produced by Ethan Huffnagel. Switchcast is an automotive entertainment and opinion show, and nothing we say should be taken very seriously. We do not give tax, investment, legal, emotional, or professional advice, and the only licenses we hold are driver's licenses. The opinions expressed on this show are exclusively held by the people pontificating at that moment and do not reflect the values of our producers or sponsors. Our theme music is provided by Emily and Ivory. You can stream their full album on Spotify or SoundCloud. If you like this show, you can stream it in its entirety on your favorite audio podcast platform. Check out switchcast.live for more info.